Two brothers, one promise. One land, 4,000 years of conflict. The headlines call it the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, but this story is as old as the Bible itself. It began with two sons of Abraham, Isaac and Ishmael. One would become the father of the Jewish people. The other would become the father of the Arab nations. And God made promises to both of them. But here's what they don't teach you in school. This isn't just a modern political dispute over borders. This is the fulfillment of a 4,000-year-old prophecy spoken over a baby born in the desert. By the end of this video, you'll understand. The ancient biblical roots of the Israel-Palestine conflict, why two half-brothers became enemies before they were even born. The prophecy over Ishmael that's been fulfilled for 4,000 years, how a family dispute became a regional war. What the Bible says about the future of this conflict, why Jerusalem matters so much to both sides. This isn't about taking political sides. This is about understanding the full story from Genesis to today, so you can see how biblical prophecy is being fulfilled in real time. Comment below right now. Before watching this video, what did you think caused the Israel-Palestine conflict? Let's see how many people know the biblical origins. Part 1. Abraham, Sarah, and the promise. God's call to Abraham. The story begins around 2000 BC with a man named Abram, later renamed Abraham. Genesis 12:1-3. The Lord had said to Abram, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse, and all peoples on earth will be blessed through you." God makes three specific promises to Abraham. Land. The land I will show you, later specified as Canaan, Israel. 2. Descendants. I will make you into a great nation. 3. Blessing. All peoples on earth will be blessed through you. Abraham obeys. He leaves his home in Ur, modern-day Iraq, and travels to Canaan, modern-day Israel-Palestine. But there's one problem. Abraham is 75 years old. His wife, Sarah, is 65, and they have no children. The wait and the doubt. 10 years pass. Abraham is now 85, still no son. Sarah gets impatient. She comes up with a plan that will have consequences for the next 4,000 years. Genesis 16:1-2. Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, but she had an Egyptian slave named Hagar. So she said to Abram, "The Lord has kept me from having children. Go, sleep with my slave. Perhaps I can build a family through her." Abram agreed to what Sarai said. This wasn't adultery in their culture. This was a common practice. If a wife couldn't conceive, she could offer her servant as a surrogate, and the child would legally be considered the wife's. But it was not God's plan. God had promised Abraham a son through Sarah. But they didn't wait for God's timing. Ishmael is born. Genesis 16:15. So Hagar bore Abram a son, and Abram gave the name Ishmael to the son she had born. Abram was 86 years old when Hagar bore him Ishmael. Abraham now has a son. Ishmael becomes the center of his world. For 13 years, Abraham believes Ishmael is the promised heir. But God had other plans. Isaac is born, the promise fulfilled. Genesis 17:15-19. When Abraham is 99 and Sarah is 89, God appears again. God also said to Abraham, "As for Sarai, your wife, you are no longer to call her Sarai. Her name will be Sarah. I will bless her and will surely give you a son by her. I will bless her so that she will be the mother of nations. Kings of peoples will come from her." Abraham fell face down. He laughed and said to himself, "Will a son be born to a man 100 years old? Will Sarah bear a child at the age of 90? And Abraham said to God, if only Ishmael might live under your blessing. Then God said, Yes, but your wife Sarah will bear you a son, and you will call him Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his descendants after him. Notice Abraham's plea. If only Ishmael might live under your blessing. Abraham loves Ishmael. He doesn't want him rejected. God's response is critical. Genesis 17:22-1, and as for Ishmael, I have heard you. I will surely bless him. I will make him fruitful and will greatly increase his numbers. He will be the father of 12 rulers, and I will make him into a great nation. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac, whom Sarah will bear to you by this time next year. 2 promises. Will be blessed. Become a great nation. Father of 12 rulers place. Will carry God's covenant. The special relationship. The promises to Abraham excess. Both are blessed. But only one carries the covenant. Genesis 21:1-3. Now the Lord was gracious to Sarah, as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah what he had promised. Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age. At the very time God had promised him, Abraham gave the name Isaac to the son Sarah bore him. Isaac is born. The impossible happens. The miracle son arrives. But now there are 2 sons, and the conflict begins. Part 2. The prophecy over Ishmael. The conflict begins. Genesis 21:8-9. The child grew and was weaned, and on the day Isaac was weaned, Abraham held a great feast. But Sarah saw that the son whom Hagar the Egyptian had borne to Abraham was mocking. Isaac is about 2 to 3 years old. Ishmael is about 16 to 17. Sarah sees Ishmael mocking Isaac. The Hebrew word metzachek can mean mocking, playing, or even persecuting. Whatever happened, Sarah sees a threat to Isaac's inheritance. Sarah's demand. Genesis 21:10. And she said to Abraham, Get rid of that slave woman and her son, for that woman's son will never share in the inheritance with my son Isaac. This devastates Abraham. Genesis 21:11. The matter distressed Abraham greatly because it concerned his son. But God speaks. Genesis 21:12-3. Do not be so distressed about the boy and your slave woman. Listen to whatever Sarah tells you, because it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. I will make the son of the slave into a nation also, because he is your offspring. God confirms Isaac is the covenant heir, but Ishmael will also become a great nation. The departure and the promise. Early the next morning, Abraham gives Hagar some bread and water and sends her away with Ishmael. Genesis 21:14-6. Early the next morning, Abraham took some food and a skin of water and gave them to Hagar. He set them on her shoulders and then sent her off with the boy. She went on her way and wandered in the desert of Beersheba. When the water in the skin was gone, she put the boy under one of the bushes. Then she went off and sat down about a bow shot away, for she thought, I cannot watch the boy die. And as she sat there, she began to sob. They're dying in the desert. Hagar can't bear to watch her son die. But God intervenes. Genesis 21:17-1. God heard the boy crying, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, What is the matter, Hagar? Do not be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. Lift the boy up and take him by the hand, for I will make him into a great nation. Then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. So she went and filled the skin with water and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy as he grew up. He lived in the desert and became an archer. While he was living in the desert of Paran, his mother got a wife for him from Egypt. God saves Ishmael and repeats his promise. I will make him into a great nation. Ishmael settles in the desert of Paran, the Arabian Peninsula. The critical prophecy. But there's another prophecy over Ishmael, one that explains 4,000 years of conflict. Back in Genesis 16, When Hagar was pregnant and ran away from Sarah, an angel appeared to her. Genesis 16:11, 1-2. The angel of the Lord also said to her, "You are now pregnant, and you will give birth to a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your misery. He will be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand against him, and he will live in hostility toward all his brothers." Let's break this down. A wild donkey of a man. Hebrew, pa jera adam per adam. Pir equals wild donkey, untamed, free, independent. This describes the Bedouin lifestyle. Nomadic, unconquerable, fiercely independent. His hand will be against everyone. He will be in conflict, a warrior, everyone's hand against him. He will be opposed, under constant threat. He will live in hostility toward all his brothers. Perpetual conflict with relatives. This isn't a curse. It's a description of Ishmael's descendants' character and destiny. For 4,000 years, this prophecy has been fulfilled. The Arab tribes were unconquerable. Rome never fully subdued them. The Bedouin maintained their independence through Ottoman, British, and modern times. Arab-Jewish conflicts have persisted for millennia. Arab nations have internal conflicts as well as external ones. The warrior spirit, fierce independence, and resistance to outside control have characterized Arab culture. Ishmael's descendants. Genesis 25-12, 1-8 lists Ishmael's 12 sons just as God promised. This is the account of the family line of Abraham's son Ishmael. These are the names of the sons of Ishmael listed in the order of their birth. Nebaioth, the firstborn of Ishmael, Kedar, Adbeel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadad, Tema, Jetur, Naphish, and Kedemah. These were the sons of Ishmael. And these are the names of the 12 tribal rulers, according to their settlements and camps. These 12 tribes became the Arab peoples settling in Arabia, eventually giving rise to various Arab tribes. The Islamic Empire, through Muhammad, who claimed descent from Ishmael, modern Arab nations. God's promise was fulfilled. Ishmael became a great nation, but the conflict between his line and Isaac's line never ended. Take a moment and comment below. Did you know that the prophecy over Ishmael in Genesis 16 has been literally fulfilled for 4,000 years? How does this change your view of biblical prophecy? Part 3. Isaac's line and the covenant land. The promise to Isaac. While Ishmael's descendants spread throughout Arabia, Isaac's line continued in Canaan. God reaffirms the covenant with Isaac. Genesis 26:2-4. The Lord appeared to Isaac and said, "Do not go down to Egypt. Live in the land where I tell you to live. Stay in this land for a while, and I will be with you and will bless you. For to you and your descendants I will give all these lands, and will confirm the oath I swore to your father Abraham. I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky, and will give them all these lands. And through your offspring all nations on earth will be blessed." The land of Canaan is specifically promised to Isaac's descendants, the Jewish people. Jacob and Esau, another conflict. Interestingly, the pattern repeats in the next generation. Isaac has twin sons, Esau and Jacob. Genesis 25:23. The Lord said to her, "Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples from within you will be separated. One people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger." Even before birth, God chooses Jacob, later renamed Israel, over Esau. Esau becomes the father of the Edomites, enemies of Israel for generations. The pattern. God chooses one line for his covenant purposes, but conflict arises between the chosen and the unchosen. The 12 tribes of Israel. Jacob has 12 sons who become the 12 tribes of Israel: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Issachar, Zebulun, Joseph, Ephraim, and Manasseh, Benjamin. These tribes conquer and settle the Promised Land under Joshua around 1400 BC. The land boundaries in Scripture, the Bible is specific about the land promised to Israel. Genesis 15:18. On that day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram and said, "To your descendants I give this land, from the Wadi of Egypt to the great river, the Euphrates." This includes modern-day Israel, Palestinian territories, parts of Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and parts of Egypt and Iraq. Israel has never fully possessed all this land. Even at its greatest extent under Solomon, it didn't reach these full boundaries. Some Bible scholars believe the complete fulfillment awaits the millennial kingdom when Jesus returns. Kingdoms, exile, and return. Israel's history in the land. 1400 BC conquest under Joshua. 1050 BC. United Kingdom under Saul, David, Solomon. 930 BC. Kingdom splits. Israel north and Judah south. 722 BC. Assyria conquers northern kingdom. Israel. 586 BC. Babylon conquers southern kingdom, destroys Jerusalem. 539 BC. Persians allow Jews to return, rebuild temple. 63 BC. Rome conquers the land. 70 AD. Rome destroys Jerusalem, scatters Jews worldwide. 135 AD. After Bar Kokhba revolt, Rome renames land Syria-Palestina to erase Jewish connection. For the next 1,800 years, Jews were scattered among the nations, the diaspora, while various empires controlled the land: Roman, Byzantine, Arab, Crusader, Ottoman, British. But they never forgot. Next year in Jerusalem, Part 4. Islam, Arab Identity, and Jerusalem. The rise of Islam, 7th century AD. In the 7th century AD, a new religion emerges, Islam. Muhammad, 570 to 632 AD, claims to be the final prophet in the line of Abraham. Islamic tradition teaches Ismail in Arabic, is the son of promise, not Isaac. Abraham took Ishmael to Mecca, not Isaac to Moriah. The Kaaba in Mecca was built by Abraham and Ishmael. Arabs descend from Ishmael and are the rightful heirs. Islam reinterprets the biblical narrative, making Ishmael central. The Quran mentions Ibrahim 69 times, Ishmael, 12 times, Isaac, 17 times. But the covenant promises, reinterpreted for Ishmael's line, Jerusalem in Islam. Here's where it gets complicated. Jerusalem becomes Islam's third holiest city after Mecca and Medina. Why? Quran 17:1 describes Muhammad's night journey. Glory be to him who made his servant journey by night, from the sacred mosque to the farthest mosque, whose precincts we have blessed, that we might show him some of our signs. Islamic tradition identifies the farthest mosque, Al-Aqsa, as Jerusalem, though the mosque itself wasn't built until 705 AD, 73 years after Muhammad's death. The Dome of the Rock was built in 691 AD on the Temple Mount, the exact location of the Jewish temples. This creates a physical, religious, and political collision point. The Jewish connection to Jerusalem. For Jews, Jerusalem is 1. The city of David, captured and established as Israel's capital to 1000 BC. 2. The Temple Mount, location of Solomon's Temple, 950 BC, Second Temple, 516 BC, 70 AD, and the future Third Temple prophesied in Ezekiel. 3. The Western Wall, remnant of the Second Temple, holiest prayer site in Judaism. 4. Prophetic significance. Zechariah 14:4 says, "The Messiah will return to the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem." Psalm 137 5-6. If I forget you, Jerusalem, may my right hand forget its skill. May my tongue cling to the roof of my mouth, if I do not remember you, if I do not consider Jerusalem my highest joy. For 2,000 years of exile, Jews prayed facing Jerusalem 3 times daily, ended Passover with next year in Jerusalem, and broke a glass at weddings, remembering the temple's destruction. Who has the claim? Jewish claim. God promised the land to Abraham's seed through Isaac. Genesis 17:19-1. Israel possessed the land for 1,000 plus years before Islam existed. Jerusalem was Israel's capital 1,600 plus years before the Dome of the Rock was built. The Temple Mount is the site of 2 Jewish temples. Continuous Jewish presence in the land for 3,000 plus years. Arab-Palestinian claim. Ishmael was Abraham's firstborn and deserves the inheritance. Arabs have lived in the land for 1,400 years since the Islamic conquest. Jerusalem is Islam's 3rd holiest city. Palestinians were living there when modern Israel was created. Colonial powers had no right to give away their land. Both sides have legitimate historical connections. But the biblical narrative is clear. God's covenant was with Isaac, not Ishmael. That doesn't diminish Ishmael's blessing, but it does establish Isaac's line as the covenant heir. Part 5. Modern History and the Conflict Today. The Zionist Movement, late 1800s. After 1,800 years of diaspora, Jews began returning to the land. 1,897 First Zionist Congress, led by Theodor Herzl, establish a Jewish homeland in their ancient land. Jews purchased land legally from Ottoman and Arab landowners and began establishing communities. The British Mandate, 1,917 to 1,948. 1,917. British capture Palestine from the Ottoman Empire, 1,917. Balfour Declaration. Britain supports a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. Arabs in the region oppose this, seeing it as European colonialism. Tensions escalate. Violence erupts between Jewish and Arab communities. The 1,947 UN Partition Plan. November 29, 1,947 UN votes to partition Palestine into Jewish state, Arab state. International zone, Jerusalem. Jewish response, accept the plan. Arab response, reject it. Demand all the land. Israel's independence and War 1,948. The 14th of May 1948, David Ben-Gurion declares the State of Israel the 15th of May 1948. 5 Arab nations, Egypt, Jordan, Syria, Lebanon, invade to destroy the newborn nation pace. Result, Israel survives and actually gains more territory. The War of Independence creates Israeli victory and expanded borders. 700,000 Palestinian Arabs displaced, the Nakba catastrophe. 850,000 Jews expelled from Arab nations. Jordan occupies West Bank and East Jerusalem. Egypt occupies Gaza. Subsequent wars. 1,967 Six-Day War. Egypt, Jordan, Syria, mass troops to attack. Israel launches preemptive strike. Israel captures Sinai, Gaza, West Bank, Golan Heights, East Jerusalem. Israel reunifies Jerusalem. 1,973 Yom Kippur War. Egypt and Syria launch surprise attack on Judaism's holiest day. Israel nearly defeated, then counterattacks, and prevails. The core issues today, the modern conflict centers on 1. Land borders. Palestinians want pre-1967 borders. West Bank, Gaza, East Jerusalem. Israel maintains security control, settlements in West Bank, debate over who has rightful claim. 2. Jerusalem. Both sides claim it as their capital. Temple Mount Al-Aqsa compound is flashpoint. Israel controls the city but allows Muslim administration of Temple Mount. 3. Palestinian statehood. Palestinians seek independent state. Israel concerns security, terrorism, recognition of Israel's right to exist. Multiple peace processes have failed. 4. Right of return. Palestinians demand descendants of 1,948 refugees can return to Israel. Israel refuses would eliminate Jewish majority. Population demographics are political weapons. 5. Gaza and Hamas. Hamas, designated terrorist group, controls Gaza, launches rockets into Israel. Israel blockades Gaza. Cycle of violence continues. The biblical lens. From a biblical perspective, prophecies being fulfilled. Ezekiel 37 to 21:2. Jews regathered from nations. I will take the Israelites out of the nations where they have gone. I will gather them from all around and bring them back into their own land. I will make them one nation in the land, fulfilled in 1948, and ongoing immigration. Zechariah 12:2-3 Jerusalem, a cup of trembling to all nations. I am going to make Jerusalem a cup that sends all the surrounding peoples reeling. On that day, when all the nations of the earth are gathered against her, I will make Jerusalem an immovable rock for all the nations. All who try to move it will injure themselves. Jerusalem is the most contested city on earth. Ezekiel 38-39. Future war with nations from the north, Russia, Turkey. Zechariah 14. Final battle at Jerusalem. Messiah returns. The conflict isn't ending. It's intensifying exactly as the prophets predicted. Final reflection. The heart of the issue. This 4,000-year conflict is ultimately spiritual. Two brothers, one chosen for God's covenant, one blessed but not covenant heir. Two peoples, both claiming Abraham as father. Two faiths, Judaism and Islam, with competing claims to the land and Jerusalem. Two narratives, biblical covenant versus Islamic reinterpretation. Who's right? From a biblical standpoint, God's covenant was clearly with Isaac's line. But that doesn't mean Palestinians don't have legitimate grievances. Israeli government actions are always right. Arab lives matter less than Jewish lives. We can ignore injustice on either side. What should Christians do? Pray for peace, Psalm 122. 6. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. 2. Understand the biblical narrative. Recognize God's covenant promises. 3. Show compassion to all. Both Jews and Arabs are made in God's image. 4. Support justice. Call out wrong on both sides. 5. Watch and pray. This conflict is part of end times prophecy, the only true resolution. Ultimately, this conflict will only be resolved when the Prince of Peace returns. Isaiah 9-6-7. For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government will be on his shoulders. And he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the greatness of his government and peace there will be no end. He will reign on David's throne and over his kingdom. Jesus will return. He will reign from Jerusalem, and he will bring the peace that politicians, diplomats, and warriors could never achieve. Final call to action. Here's my final question, and I want your thoughtful answer in the comments. After understanding the full 4,000-year biblical story behind the Israel-Palestine conflict, how does this change your perspective on what's happening in the Middle East today? And what do you think Christians' role should be in responding to this conflict? This is a complex, painful, deeply personal issue for millions of people. There are no easy answers. There's suffering on both sides. There are legitimate claims and grievances on both sides. But understanding the biblical roots from Abraham to today helps us see this isn't just politics. This is the unfolding of ancient prophecy. If this video gave you a new perspective, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs historical context on this issue. Subscribe, because next week, the third temple, will it be built, and what does it mean for the end times? Remember, this conflict began with a family. It's sustained by competing covenants. It's fueled by religious claims. And it will only end when the Messiah returns. Pray for Jerusalem. Pray for peace. Pray for both peoples. And trust that God's purposes, however mysterious, are unfolding exactly as He planned. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14.